See, and this is what I'm saying. We got to put some respect on Mifepristone's name. So absolutely, and thank you for asking. In the US, we know that Mifepristone is used for medication abortion, miscarriage management, and for uterine fibroids. It's also used in other non-reproductive health conditions like Cushing syndrome, where people have very high cortisol levels, which can sometimes cause high blood sugar. Mifepristone helps to regulate that blood sugar, but how? All right, well, remember how Mifepristone competes with progesterone for the progesterone receptor? Like progesterone is supposed to be there, but Mifepristone actually says, I'm the captain now. Well, at higher doses, Mifepristone does the same thing to another receptor called the glucocorticoid receptor. So here's what's happening to someone with Cushing's syndrome when Mifepristone is not present. You know the stress hormone cortisol, right? Fight or flight. Okay, so cortisol binds to the glucocorticoid receptor normally. And then cortisol, when it binds to that receptor, causes the receptor to create more cortisol. Now we see that how that can be a problem because again, this is a stress hormone and now you're making more stress hormones. And in Cushing syndrome, you end up with way too much cortisol production, which leads to other symptoms like high blood sugar and all kinds of other stuff. But when the Mife's in the system, things change. Cortisol is still getting made because cortisol is important. We need that. Okay, so cortisol is still getting made, but when it's time for that cortisol to bind the glucocorticoid receptor and make more cortisol, Mifepristone says, no, I'll have that. So Mifepristone instead binds the glucocorticoid receptor. And as a result, you're not getting that excess or overproduction of cortisol, which is helpful in managing that high blood sugar. All that to say, Mifepristone has uses beyond medication abortion, beyond miscarriage management, beyond fibroid management, and all of the uses are important. Why? Because healthcare is not hierarchical, okay? You don't get to decide that a medication is more important for one thing than another thing just because you don't like the other thing. That's not for you to decide. The particularly unfortunate thing is that there's so much more research that could be and should be done about Mifepristone and Cushing syndrome and all kinds of other conditions, but that research gets impeded, blocked, limited because of the drama around Mifepristone for medication abortion, which should not be a dramatic thing at all. Because guess what? Abortion is healthcare.